and thank you so much for serving on this Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. I'm going to give you a quick general knowledge things before I move into this week's lesson. Last month, what I talked about in each video was where the material bins are located. So just a general reminder that they are in these two closets. Specifically, this closet, these are in the second and third grade alcove, kind of in the back of their room. The majority of this closet is stuff that is specific to 4th and 5th grade. And second and third grade small groups, as well as some teacher supplies on the top shelf. Below that is shared paint and some center materials. But this closet here is what holds all of the shared materials. So if you're doing a lesson and you're missing something or you need more of something, this is where to send one of the teachers to go and get that if you realize you need it in the middle of the lesson. Also, at the end of your morning, I ask that you please clean up any materials that are left over. If you have leftover papers, like lesson plans or copies, just throw those in the garbage. But if there's materials like construction paper or bells or whatever, we use a lot of different things, put them back here in the organized spot. They all have different labels. They go in this closet. Moving on from that, I've been noticing that the boards need to be cleaned at the end of the lessons as well. So I am trying to get some cleaner in each room. Right now there is a bottle of cleaner in the kindergarten, first grade classroom and the second and third grade classroom. So 4th and 5th, you'll just need to grab it from second and third next door to you at the end of the day. But please do take the time to wipe off the board. The kids have been writing on it, and so I've been cleaning it each week, but it would be really helpful to wipe it off as you leave on Sunday morning, or have one of the kids wipe it off as they're leaving. So now I'm going to move into the specifics for this week's lesson. I'm going to go through our kindergarten and first grade and second and third grade small group lessons first. So if that's what you're teaching and you don't want to know the rest of the details about the other small group as well as the large group, then you can stop the video at the end of this section. But first, we have the lesson plan for kindergarten, first grade, and second and third grade small group. And this is what it looks like. Again, it's always color-coded, always labeled. So your first activity starts at exactly 10 o'clock, so kids can arrive till 10. And at that point, kids will still be arriving, so one teacher should be taking attendance while the other begins doing the activity. It requires 2 balloons, no letdown. And they're going to probably want to call it Keepy Uppy from Bluey. But so that's that activity. That will end at 10:10. And that is when you will then go to the large group classroom to do your large group lesson. Following large group, you will return back to your small group room. And at 10:50, you'll start your Believe activity, which is always orange. This week, it's Faithful Finders. And so you have a whiteboard in the front of your classroom, which is already labeled Faithful God. There are letters, Post-it notes hidden all over your classroom. So when the kids first get there, don't let them start grabbing these Post-its because they're going to need it for this activity. They're going to find those letters and match them to the ones on the board for this activity. Following this, at 11 o'clock, you'll be moving into your Become activity, which is always labeled purple. It's God's Way Rewind. You don't need any materials for this. This is that activity. And then following that, you have your talking activities. This week is David and Saul, which is great. Like, we're kind of on the same timeline as the pastors right now with what they're talking about in the sanctuary. So you're going to answer the me question together. You will have already done the he and the we questions in large group. So you'll do the me question. If they want to look at their take-home sheets, they choose a challenge off of there and pray together. You're not going to say goodbye yet because then you're going to move into your discipleship discussion. This is always a really great time. You can work this in at the end or as you're doing activities if you've had a chance to look at it beforehand of how concepts in the story that we're studying this week really affect us in today. So what about when grown-ups mess up? And that is a very, very real thing for all of us and very, very real for David and Saul as well. So this is a great way to tie in that story into our real lives. And this is the only time I'll go over this in the video because this is the same for every small group, whichever age group you are with. So if you are just teaching kindergarten and first grade and second and third grade small group and you are not interested in the rest, this is where you're going to stop watching the video and we'll see you on Sunday. Otherwise, next I'll be moving into the 4th and 5th grade small group. All right, 4th and 5th graders, before I move into your lesson, you're going to see letters all over the place in your room. Again, don't let the kids touch those before you have a chance to teach the lesson because they are going to need those for this week's lesson. So when you look at your lesson plan, it is here. as well as your take-home sheets. And same as always, you're going to start at 10 o'clock. Kids will still be arriving at that point, so one adult should be taking attendance as they're arriving, and the other adult should go ahead and start with the lesson at 10 o'clock. So you're doing belong. There were printable pages. Those are already cut and hidden around the room. It said to do them on different color paper, but instead I just marked them, color-coded them. One is marked with purple stars, one is marked with pink stars, and that is what they're going to do until 10:10. At 10:10, they're going to move into the large group classroom and be there until about 10:48. So when you come back to your classroom, it's going to be 10:50. Now the goal is to get the kids upstairs. So if you are going to take them upstairs, that is your choice as a teacher. If you take them upstairs, make sure you take everything you need for the remainder of the lesson in your yellow bag. So the next activity that when you get back from large group is the Believe activity, which says index cards. Instead, I just did half sheets of paper. It's always color-coded orange, labeled Believe. Here it is, and it's describe it. They're going to be looking at a lot of different verses in here, talking about God's faithfulness. And so instead of doing it on an index card, they're going to do it on a half sheet of paper. Then at 11 o'clock, they're going to move into the next activity, which is their Become activity. Walk by Faith, they're going to need butcher paper for. So I have a roll of butcher paper right there that they can use for that activity. I did not pre-cut it, so then that way you can work together to decide how much you need depending on how many kids are there that day. Following that, at around 11:10, you're going to move into your wrap-up, which will take about 5 minutes, talking about the story from this week, what it means for your life, choosing their challenge from their take-home sheet, praying together, answering the me question, and then finally doing that discipleship discussion. If you didn't listen to the part that I read for the other small group, this is the same for every group. This week's story is David and Saul, so these discipleship discussions are perfect, a great reflection of some of the concepts that they will see in that story today and how it affects us in our lives today. At this point, I'm going to move into the large group lesson. So if you are not teaching large group and you're not interested in knowing what's going to happen in there that day, then you can go ahead and stop the video now. Thank you for serving. Okay, and then finally we have our large group lesson. There are 3 copies, so one person will be the tech helper, and I'll read off of this one. So this starts immediately at 10:15. So at 10:13, you start the 2-minute countdown video. These are going to be on the computer here, so the tech helper can run it from the computer. You can use the clicker that's next to it, or you can use the mouse pad. I don't have it pulled up yet because November hasn't been loaded yet, but I'll have it ready by the time you're in here on Sunday. So they're going to, for that one, you needed a whiteboard and a die. So those are already up here. The whiteboard is labeled. For some reason, they put leaf twice, but you're just going to be kind of silly with that. So the kids are going to be guessing which part they're acting out, and you'll just have to be like, oh, that could be 2 or 6. And so then we have Find It in the Bible. Bible teaching requires Play-Doh. There are 40 packs of it, so some of them are going to have to share. So I would recommend partnering them up when they do that, so that especially the older kids, if they don't get one, have them partner with a younger kid. So this is what the welcome looks like. The welcome is very quick, so they do this part and with rolling the die, and then they're going to do the intro video. This is all on a slide, setting those he, we, and me questions. Then you're going to talk about God's big story, where today's story about David and Saul fits into it. And 1 Samuel 24 is already marked in the Bible up here, so you're going to want to draw the kids' eyes to it, encourage them to open their Bibles and to look for 1 Samuel 24. So they know where today's story is. And then some kids may choose to sit there and keep their Bibles open and read it, and that is great. I would highly encourage that. Then comes the story about David and Saul. It always starts in prayer, and this is when you're going to hand out that Play-Doh to the kids so they can make some creations as you're telling your story about David and Saul today. So there it goes on for 3 pages, 1, 2, 3. At the end, we always point to Jesus. Where does today's story show us how Jesus is coming? So then after that, we have our review. If you're running over on time, this is the place where you can save some time. There is a review video as well as questions. If you're running short on time, just choose one or the other, questions or video. So they are great to do if you have the time, but time can run short sometimes. And then in the wrap up, you're going to answer the he and the we questions, talk about our brand new month's bright idea and this month's memory verse memory verse and the video with it. I would not skip any of these. The video you can show as they're being dismissed from the classroom. So you can say 4th and 5th graders line up at the door with your leaders. And as they start to walk out, you start the video and play it and then call the next group once they're out of the room. So that'll save a minute or two there at the end. And then pray together before you start that video. And then that's it for... And that is kind of where things will end for the day. So thank you guys so much for serving. I'm excited for you guys to be here, and I will see you on Sunday. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can call me, text me, or I'll see you in person on Sunday. Thank you. Bye.